morning, my name is Greg Ellis, and welcome to Redskin Review. This show is being taped on Monday, August 30th, and in this show we'll take a look back at the Redskins' big opening win in the Crosstown Showdown against the Oak Hills Highlanders, and we'll take a look at this week's home opener against Woodward. With me, as always, is Dan Albers, Coach Jeff Geesting. Guys, welcome.
Thanks.
I was in Myrtle Beach. I missed it, but I listened to everything on USBNsports.com, which tells you a little bit about me. I'm in Myrtle Beach listening to a computer.
Good. Well, that is good.
But, Jeff, congratulations. Another big win. You took an inexperienced team. You lost a lot of guys off that team from last year. Nice win in the first week of the season.
Yeah, it really was. We were concerned about that game. We knew Oak Hills had a fair amount of returners back and a lot more experience than we did. We hoped that, with our tradition and our guys used to winning, that would carry us through. And I think that played a big part in it. Our kids never got shook, and we struggled at times, mightily in the first half. But they kept making plays and kept hustling, and it was a great win to start the year off.
Was that 15 straight regular season wins for your team. So
is that what it is?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. That's what Danny put on here. So.
Well, we'll just go with that then.
I'm not into the statistics too much, but it is pretty good. That's something for those kids to be proud of. That's great.
And talking about how you have a young team and you had guys that you've got to put in positions that maybe not necessarily played a position they played. You had Brandon Bornhauser a couple years ago that played your slot or whatever, then moved to quarterback. How hard or difficult was that with Nick Mason and Osterman to figure out who your quarterback was going to be?
Well, they both had, took reps in camp and two-a-days, and Nick just was, I guess, a little stronger arm and so forth. I mean, other than that, they're pretty equal. And so forth, and Ryan had more flexibility as far as being able to go play receiver, which we needed to have more depth there. So it really worked out well for him, as also. When you have that kind of situation, you just hope that the kids are willing to do what's best for the team. And Ryan did that, and he's going to be a good receiver for us. He was able to give us that threat of throwing a touchdown pass too, which he did.
Well, I mean, how early in the season do you guys? When the season's over, do you look at stuff like that? Who can we move, and who's a better athlete? How do you guys determine that?
We start to look at it. I mean, we're looking at it even during the season. We talk about kids, and we try to pencil kids in, but they change in the off season. They grow. There are different things happen in their lives that affect them, and they go out for a different sport and they don't lift as much. And there's all kinds of variables that come into play. You can't always pencil it in. I think the neat thing in our program is there's always some seniors, though, that step up that you really maybe weren't sure about. And like in this year's case, Wayne Hartman is our center, and is going to be okay for us and do a good job for us this year. And a couple of years ago, Wayne was, it was hard to project him as possibly as a starter, but he's just really, really worked hard in the weight room. So we look at it as soon as the season's over. We look at our depth chart and where we're at, and try to see what sophomores possibly could be ready as juniors to play, and what juniors definitely need to play as seniors and so forth.
And speaking of that, you had a new guy step in at quarterback, and Nick Mason. Started off a little rough. He was 0 for 3, but it seemed like as the game went on, he settled down a little bit.
Yeah, he did. Nick, he's gifted. He can throw a pretty good ball, and he's been playing quarterback since I guess he's been in Pee Wee, and so he understands the position well and things like that. He understands what we're trying to do, what Coach Cook wants him to do, and he gives us I think, as far as a pure thrower, the strongest arm of any of the quarterbacks we've had since I've been the head coach. So, but he doesn't. They're all different. Brandon was such a great athlete and can run so well, and Daniel was a leader and was a playmaker, and Nick's going to be a better passer, not quite as good a runner as the other guys, and he's only a junior though, so his leadership and stuff will get better.
And you talk about that leadership that you have as a senior. You had Jordan Shelton. He's one of the seniors that had a big game. I believe he was close to 100 yards or over 100 yards receiving, I believe.
Yeah, Jordan's a great receiver. He runs good routes. He's tall. He's deceptively fast. He's not a burner, but he's so precise in his routes, and he's got great hands. He really can catch the football well. So he's quite a weapon for us. And he made that one catch that just reached up, snagged it out of the air. I thought the Oak Hills kid was going to get it or knock it down. So he's definitely really come on and gives us a, whenever you have a tall, over 6 foot tall receiver that can go up and get the ball like he can, it's definitely an advantage.
You win this game 14-7, and that's not the type of score we're used to seeing out of Anderson. But your defense obviously came to play, and as listening to it, it sounded like Matt White really had a strong game.
He did. Matt played very well. He played very well. He's one of our guys that is still growing. He's going to be a bigger kid. I mean, his brother Tyler's big. His father Mike's a big guy, and Matt's still growing, and he's young still. I think he's one of our young ones. We have more guys that seem like they're 17 when they graduate than these other teams that guys are 19 when they graduate.
Right.
But yeah, Matt had a great game for us, and defensively we just kept battling, and the first half it was difficult because we would come off, and three plays later we'd have to get right back out there, and it started to affect us a little bit fatigue-wise, but they gutted it out and did a nice job of getting to halftime with not giving up any points and to hold Oak Hills to 7, and I think they had about a total of about 200 yards, which was really, really good. I think we had over 70 reps of defense. 70 plays is a lot of plays in a game for defense. So, and only give up 7 points, we'll take that.
Was it hot here that night? Was it?
Yeah, it was,
it was pretty hot.
Was it muggy? We were in the sun. They were in the shade on their side till the sun, went down. And then the second half, we were both sidelines were in the shade, but that affected us the first half, I think, a little bit. But our kids fought through it, and we told them before the game we weren't going to use that as any kind of excuse, and we were fine with that, and let's go. And they relished the challenge, and they really stepped up.
A couple of other names on defense that I kept hearing Dan and Brad talk about was Martini and Brian Vale. Sound like they had pretty good games.
Yeah, they did. Well, Tony was the MVP of the game, and did a real nice job at linebacker, and Brian Vale was, had some tackles too, and gives us a physical presence at linebacker. Chris Shingleton had a great game too.
Yeah.
Had an interception, had a great knockdown on one. That ball was tipped up in the air, and he had a presence of mind just to knock it to the ground.
Yeah, and
really
I think that's what
play.
Brad was talking about, about how most kids would try to go for the interception, and he smart enough, to knock that down.
Right. And they completed the one long pass, but it was a great throw and a great catch by the Oak Hills kid. Chris was right on him. So, plus he was returning punts and playing offense. He had a really nice game as well.
Well, you were against a really big back, and was it Concoli?
Yeah.
And so they had a challenge on their hand, because I know that your defense isn't as big as you would like it to be.
Right.
But they did a pretty good job. They had some tough stops on some big plays.
Well, I think we had 2 4th downs. We stopped them, and their touchdown they barely got in. So we battled, and he is a big back, and they did a nice job. They had a couple schemes early in the game we hadn't seen or practiced, so we got used to that, and we did a better job after the first quarter of controlling their running game. I think they averaged maybe 2.2 yards a rush, which is really good. If we can hold somebody to under 2.5 yards a rush, we feel like we're going to be in pretty good shape to try to win the ball game. So, for the defense to respond the way they did, I was really proud of them for that.
Let's talk a little bit about the offensive line. Obviously everybody was used to the big hosses we had last year and moving it, and it seemed they weren't really gelling that well in that first half, but it seemed as the game went on, they seemed to get better, and the holes were opening up a little bit more for Jake Nelson.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was, some of it was a shock of playing it against bigger kids. Our scout team is all sophomores. We have a very young team, so what they're going against in practice every day isn't even close to what a varsity game is like. And that took them a little bit to understand that. And I think the Lakota East team that we scrimmaged is also very young. And so we were able to, do some things in that game, but we threw it a lot against Lakota East. We didn't necessarily run it as much as we probably planned on against Oak Hill. So our offensive linemen, it took them a little bit. And I think our first 8 plays on first down, we were like negative play or +1. We were terrible on first down the first 8 plays of the game. But then our second 8 first down plays were much more positive and put us in a position where we could do some more things because long yardage wasn't as big an issue on second down. So our offensive linemen, they grew up. They stepped up to the plate the second half especially. We were starting to. Oak Hills was wearing down a little bit, and it looked like some of the stuff we'd seen the last few years out of us.
You had a solid game from Jake. Jake, I believe, was close to 88 yards, somewhere around in there. He's roughly had a pretty decent game, but he was running hard, and he might not have had the holes, but he still kept running pretty hard.
Oh, he ran real hard. He had close to 100 yards. Did a great job, because he's got to be patient. And with some of our things, it's a matter of being patient when we're running the inside zone as much as we do. You're letting those linemen step and block, and then Jake's got to read it and make his decision and so forth. But he can't be so quick that he doesn't give the guys a chance to work their double teams and get to the next level. We found some success early. We were able to run the outside zone a little bit, and that gave him a little more confidence. And then we got the second half, we were able to run inside a little bit more. And Jake, he's not going to run away from anybody, but he's going to get positive yards, and he's just a really good, solid, dependable high school back.
I think it was just a great call by Coach Cook on the. It was in the second half, the reverse pass, and I know I almost fell off the deck there when he threw that pass. So it was a great call.
Well, it would come after we had fumbled the football, and so it was long yardage, and we had to try to get some momentum back. And sometimes in a game, that's a good time to do it. The defense isn't really thinking that's coming right there. And Ryan, then we had a nice fake and caught their safety nap, and Jordan came from the backside where he didn't see him, and Ryan put it right on the money, and that was huge for us.
Yeah, it was.
Does it seem to you like, at least listening to these guys talk about it on the internet, it seemed like in the second half, Oak Hills kind of got away from what they did in the first half. It seemed like they were putting it up more than they were really going to Concoli.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. He might have been tired, I don't know. But, early in the game, they were having more success running. And then we started to do a better job defending their stuff. And they got away from their game plan possibly a little bit. But, I don't want to second guess what they call. They know their players much better than I do. And their quarterback was an athletic kid. And he got out on the perimeter a couple times, made some nice plays. But we feel like if we can make people throw the ball against us and get them in long yards, that plays into our strengths because, we've got guys like Matt White up front and Jesse Carell that are fairly quick and athletic and can rush the passer, and then our back guys are pretty athletic. And, so we're hoping that, we can do a good job against the run, get people in the hole, and make them throw it.
You scored that first touchdown, and, of course, Danny and Brad were going nuts on the internet. But the extra point, you got the procedure called, the extra point. Were the referees just not ready for your formation, or what kind of explanation did you get for that?
No, we simulated a snap. We were wrong.
Oh, we're really?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Nick simulated a snap. It wasn't like he was trying to go in motion. He was trying to simulate a snap. And, the refs called it, and they were right in calling it, and we'll have to get that corrected, which we will. And so then, we had to back up. We had a new kicker in because Tommy's still hurt, and Wade just really did a nice job on his kickoffs, and so he was out there for his first extra point. And of course, we don't block anybody on the left side. And then, Wade was a little slow, but it was mainly we didn't block anybody on that side. So they blocked it, and so now we're up 6-0.
That goes to my next question. I was going to say, not having Tommy Chapman, did you have to change anything in the way your blocking schemes or the way you're attacking them? Or?
Well, it changes the game as far as how close we have to be to try a field goal. I think it was basically about the 18-yard line, which would have made it 35 yards or so for Wade to make that. And, he's got a good leg, but it's not as strong as Tommy's. And, it changes that, but other than nothing else really. I mean, he did a great job on the kickoffs. He did a great job. Pretty much placed the ball where we wanted him to. Didn't get it in the end zone, but if we told him to kick it left, he'd kick it left or kick it right. Which we've done the last few years, and it seems successful for us to keep moving the ball around, so they don't have an idea always of where it's going to be kicked. So, I was really happy with Wade. He was kind of nervous in the first varsity game, and he's on the soccer team, and he really stepped up and did a nice job.
Good.